Anxiety stole years from me before I even knew it had a name. My name is Brandon Ellis. I'm 38 years old, and I live in a quiet neighborhood called Willow Heights on the outskirts of Lexington, Kentucky. From the outside, I had a decent life. A 9-to-5, a one-bedroom apartment that stayed clean, groceries in the fridge, a routine that gave the impression of control. But the truth is, I wasn't living. I was managing. Just enough to keep the breakdowns private. Most mornings, I'd sit on the edge of my bed and stare at the floor for 20 minutes, frozen by thoughts that had no words. Just wait. My chest felt heavy before the day even started. And I kept asking myself the same question. Is this all there is? Not in a poetic sense, but in a desperate, suffocating one. I wasn't always like that. In college, I was full of ideas, laughed loud, had real dreams. But life has a way of draining you in small, invisible ways. Not through explosions, but through tiny cracks. And for me, it started when my father walked out without saying goodbye. I was 13. He said he was going to the store. He never came back. I didn't cry that night. I just stayed silent. I carried that silence into adulthood like a second skin. I never talked about that. Not to my mom. Not to my friends. Definitely not to a therapist. I thought real men were supposed to handle it. Supposed to push through. Be tough. Be fine. But I wasn't fine. I was broken. And I got real good at hiding it. The anxiety got worse in my early 30s. At first, it was just a tightness in my chest. Then it became late-night panic attacks. I'd wake up gasping for air, convinced I was dying. But the doctors always said the same thing. You're healthy. They couldn't see the war going on inside. Couldn't see the fear, the pressure, the shame. One morning, something inside me cracked. I was brushing my teeth before work, same routine. But when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. My face looked tired. Not just physically, but spiritually. I dropped the toothbrush and sat on the floor of my bathroom, crying. I hadn't cried in years, not even at my grandfather's funeral. But that day, I couldn't hold it in. That breakdown saved me, because for the first time in my adult life, I told the truth to myself. I was not okay. And that was the moment everything began to change, not instantly, not with fireworks, but with a whisper. The next day, I wrote down a simple sentence on a yellow sticky note. You are not weak for feeling. I stuck it to my mirror. I didn't know why. It just felt like something I needed to hear. And every morning after that, I read it out loud. At first, it felt stupid, like I was pretending. But little by little, that tiny habit cracked through the noise. That one sentence gave me permission to stop pretending. And that changed everything. It didn't erase the anxiety, but it gave me a weapon against it. That sticky note became a ritual. Then I started writing more, little reminders, honest ones. I'd say them out loud before work. After a while, I started believing them. I began to heal, not by chasing some massive transformation, but by showing up for myself in small, consistent ways. And slowly, my life began to rebuild. It wasn't some life coach or viral video that saved me. It was the decision to stop lying to myself, to stop minimizing my pain, to stop pretending that my silence was strength. I started walking every morning before work, no music, no podcast, just me in the cold air. At first, it was uncomfortable. My mind would race, my chest would tighten. But over time, I started to breathe again. Not just physically, but emotionally. I wasn't just surviving, I was becoming present. That walk became the habit that saved me. Some mornings I'd cry mid-step. Other times I just whispered truths to myself. Things I was too ashamed to say out loud before. You're allowed to feel. You're not broken, you matter. And something strange happened. The more I honored my pain, the less power it had over me. I stopped needing everything to be perfect. I stopped needing people to understand. I started needing me to show up for me. That changed the way I lived, the way I worked, the way I loved. I started treating myself like someone worth saving. Today, I'm not fearless, but I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not numb. I feel joy again. I laugh loud. I look people in the eye. I sleep through the night. My mornings have clarity. My voice has weight. My silence no longer owns me. See, the most powerful thing I ever did was choose to believe that healing was possible, even if I couldn't see it yet. And that's what I want you to know. Healing doesn't come from pretending you're okay. It comes from finally admitting you're not and deciding that's okay too. The truth is, you don't need a miracle. You need honesty. You need space. You need movement. You need one habit that grounds you. For me, it was walking and repeating a few quiet words every morning. For you, maybe it's something else. But I promise, the habit will find you if you're willing to listen. If you're a man fighting invisible pain, if you're tired of holding it all in, if you're done being the strong one while silently falling apart, this is your sign. Not to be fearless, but to be honest. Some of the strongest men I've ever met didn't win championships or close million-dollar deals. They were the ones who faced their darkest thoughts and kept going. They were the ones who rebuilt themselves quietly, in kitchens at 2 a.m., with no applause, no audience, no rescue. They became unbreakable not because they never broke, but because they refused to stay broken. So here's my truth. I am Brandon Ellis. I was broken. I was anxious. I didn't think I'd make it to 35, but today I'm alive, awake, and in the best season of my life. Not because life got easier, but because I got real. And now I live by a single sentence I say to myself every morning, without fail. You are not weak for feeling. Say it with me, one more time. You are not weak for feeling. You are just beginning to heal.